All right, welcome to Real Estate Success Podcast. I'm your host, Mena Badros, here today with Nicole Klein, team leader at the Nicole Klein team, powered by EXP Realty. Nicole, great to have you here
Thank you for having me.
for sure. Nicole, before we get into real estate talk, I want people to get to know who you are. So, without mentioning any professional accomplishments, can you tell people who you are?
Yes, I mean, that does make it a little harder. But so, first and foremost, I am a mom. I'm a mother of two. I have an 11-year-old daughter and a 13-year-old son. I'm married, live outside the Philadelphia area. I think my friends would describe me as somebody that's outgoing and very social. So I just love, connecting with people and finding out what they're about and seeing how maybe I can help them with some of the connections that I've made in life. I tend to be pretty positive, and as I mature, I've realized that enjoying life is probably one of the most important things that we can do. That we only have this one life to live, so we might as well enjoy it. And sometimes our jobs is what helps fund the life that we have, but if you're not enjoying it, in my opinion, you're doing something wrong.
I totally agree with that. Curious, what did you do before real estate?
So I worked for Nordstrom. I don't know if you're familiar with
Yep.
Nordstrom, but Nordstrom is, a retail company for anyone that's not familiar with it. And their main, thing is making sure that the customer service level is the best in the industry. So I worked for them for 7 years. I was a regional manager for them and traveled the Northeast and helped coach other managers that were in the stores, and just really learned a lot about working with the consumer, about management there, and just how to make make somebody feel important and feel special in the environment that they were in.
Awesome. Now, I know you're a team leader now, but you didn't start there on day one of your real estate journey. Can you take us a little quick through your real estate journey and how you got started to where you are now?
Yeah, sure. So I'm going into my 16th year. So
Awesome.
it has definitely been a journey, and you are definitely, correct. It didn't always start off this way. So, like I mentioned, I worked for Nordstrom, and I had to travel quite often and bought my first house while I was working for Nordstrom. I was 25. I had no idea what I was doing. Someone suggested, well, why don't you buy a house instead of renting?
Right.
And I took them up on the suggestion without doing any research or, learning about it, just knowing what type of house I wanted. Throughout that process, I went through a couple real estate agents. A lot of them just wouldn't call me back or weren't very professional. And, the one that I ended up closing on my property with, I just didn't feel that she was my advocate through the process. I didn't understand what was happening. She didn't really care to explain what was happening. The property has been great, and at the end of the day, it was a really kind of a transaction that wasn't the best end up really
Mm.
being rewarding because it made me think about a career in real estate that I never would have thought of. So I demoted myself at Nordstrom and I signed up for my real estate school. I think at the time the only option was to do it in person. I don't think
Right.
there were any online classes, so it took a little longer. And I had a slow start getting into real estate. It was just, I thought if I sold a couple of houses a year, it would fulfill me personally, and it did. I got married and had my children, and then really once I had my second, I searched for more and wanted to do more. So it was a slow start at first, but the past 10 years have been more, I've treated it more like a business instead of just a couple transactions.
So I'm curious, what does that mean in a nutshell when you treat it more like a business? What does that change look like if you could kind of boil it down to a few things?
Yeah. Like I said, I think in the beginning it was like if somebody called me and said they wanted to buy or sell a house, I was really excited and I, helped them. And then as I had my second child and decided, that I always thought I'd want to be a stay-at-home mom, and I love my children, but realized that wasn't my calling. My calling was to help more people and to be more active. So by treating it more like a business was, just setting goals. It sounds really simple, but how much do you want to make in a year, and how many properties do you need to sell to be able to make that? So, I had a yearly goal, which then became a monthly goal, and just put myself out there more where, I mentioned if people came to me, I helped them, but I changed the narrative and started reaching out to more people to let them know, I'm in the real estate business and I would, welcome any of their referrals. A huge change that really happened in my business, besides, wanting to treat it more a business, was I was exposed to this whole world of networking. I had no idea that besides LinkedIn, people were getting together in person. We're going back 11 years, but people were getting together and going to networking events and introducing themselves to each other and supporting each other. That world to me before then, I had no idea it existed. And once I learned about that world, my business grew by 70%.
That's awesome. And what do you do on the networking front, or what have you done that have proven very successful?
Yeah. So, there are a million networking events. I'm sure whoever's watching this, wherever you live, if you go on Eventbrite or search Facebook events there, you could go to a networking event every single day, and they could cost $10, $50, $100. But the key that I found in networking, it took a little time, was don't worry about how many events you go to or how many people you meet at those events. Go to each event with a purpose to make a new relationship. I normally try to meet
Mm.
3 new people at an event. For some people, it might be 1. Some people, it might be 5. But, meet a new person and then get to know them. Like, don't expect them to want to buy or sell a house for you. If it's,
Right.
if you're going for real estate, get to know them. Who are they? How can you help support them? These events, often there's, 50 plus people at an event. So there's a lot of noise and a lot of distractions. So I really feel like the key, besides, meeting a new person, is setting a one-on-one appointment with them after the event. You could meet on Zoom. That's the great thing with our world.
Right.
I just met somebody for coffee right before this, but meet them and find out who they are, how you can help them. Often I go for walks with people.
Very
On
cool.
Thursday, I'm going my first golf lessons with somebody. So, just make it fun. And then as you do that, you build your network. And what's the saying? Your net worth is your network is your net worth.
Right.
So as you build it, and people start, to like, know, and trust you, then you start getting referrals for your business as well. But don't go into it expecting them to refer you. Go into it seeing how you can help them.
That's awesome. I love that. What do you do now in real estate, or more so, how do you spend your day as a real estate professional?
Yeah. So our team, we have our real estate team, and then we also have a group within our brokerage. So our team, I'm more of the coach for our team. I still actively work with sellers, but I don't normally actively work with buyers. So my role has become more of a coach for the agents on our team. A lot of times you'll hear about, I'm not sure if it's outside the real estate world or just in it, but, what is your why? Why are you doing this? And
Right.
for me, the why is helping agents on our team hit their goals, and, their why becomes my why. So most of my morning is one-on-one coaching or training classes. I do still do some, lead gen, but it's normally just touching, and talking to people that I already know. But it's, I think a lot of real estate agents, they have the talent, and they want to be successful, but sometimes they just don't know how to get started, or they just need help with conversations, to kind of get out of their own head to get out face to face. And that's what I really love doing, is, helping people with what's holding them back, and, finding the resource if it's not me, but to help them move forward to where they want to go.
Awesome. I love that. Why did you decide to start a team, and can you take us through the journey of building that team?
Yeah. So I kind of decided for the wrong reasons at first. So,
Right.
you kind of learn from people's failures. Like I mentioned, I had my second child, and that whole like if people call me to sell a house, great, became a little stressful because people started calling and
Right.
I didn't have the time to help everybody. So I brought on my first buyer's agent. I knew I had no idea what that meant, except for that she was going to help me. I didn't have the systems in place. I didn't have the leverage in place. I didn't know how to like split financial things up. We still remain friends, and and it was a good relationship, but it wasn't. At the end of the day, it wasn't really growth for either one of us. We kind of hit up a spot where it was like, okay, well, you're going to go your way, I'm going to go my way. So I took a step back and learned a little bit more about building a team and hired my first assistant. Which, if you're thinking about building a team, I I don't see any other way around it. You need to have an assistant that will help you build the systems, that will help you, manage everything. So as you grow, you already have the back end in place, and you can, start then, growing as far as agents and seller and buyer transactions. So I hired a part-time assistant, which then became a hire of a full-time assistant. And from that, had one agent join, and now we have five agents, a director of operations, a transaction coordinator, and we hired our first international virtual assistant this year. But for agents, I think to be able to grow, if you want agents to join your team, you have to have some value. And, back to what I said in the beginning is, I want to help those agents grow financially, but I also want them to enjoy life. So we have a lot of back end systems. So that way the agent can, work with the client, and then we can take over the file and they can go spend time with their family or go find, another client. But it was a slow process. It didn't happen overnight. But it's, if you, I think if you really take time and learn what successful team leaders are doing and don't try to reinvent it, do what works, and do it the way that they suggest.
Awesome. Now you have done quite a few things in real estate and continue to do so. Buyer's agent, listing agent, coaching agents one on one, training, building. The business of the team from the back end. What do you enjoy the most, or what has been the most rewarding for you?
I mean, I feel like this is repeating myself a little, but again, it's just finding out, what their goals are. An agent on our team, when we met about 2 years ago, she told me what her financial goal was for her family and why she wanted to reach it. And one of her things that she wanted to do was to put in a pool at her house. And she was able to do that, about a year after we met and put a pool in. So the rewards is like seeing, on social media, her family having, spending time in this, spending time in the pool. So it always goes down to, comes down to, what it is that can really fulfill someone's life. Um, Unfortunately, I had a friend pass away probably about 7 years ago. She was a really successful real estate agent. She was very well respected in the industry. And she would always talk about how she would cancel some of those life things for her clients. She would cancel a weekend getaway because a client would want to see properties. And she was such a great real estate agent that she, would always put them first.
Right.
And, once she passed, I do think she was really happy and, had a lot of successes, but it kind of was a little bit of a change for me. It was like, well, we can all have the life that we want financially, but still, have that time with our family, or, maybe it's not family, maybe it's going on a hike or something. So like that's really what excites me, is helping other people, find that, and helping them see that they can have permission to be able to enjoy those things. I think a lot of times as entrepreneurs, we always think we have to do more and do better and beat our last year's sales. And, it's just like a competition, you're the only one playing in that competition. Like, life is your real competition. And like, I want to see people like win at that. And so that's what gets me going.
I love that. No, I love that, and I couldn't agree more. What's next for you?
Oh, I wish I knew all of those answers. So, I changed brokerages about a year ago, and professionally, it's to really grow. To grow our group to be able to help more people. I don't think that there's one brokerage that fits everybody. I want to see people, in if they're where they are and they're getting the support and they're growing, they're probably in the right place. But for those people that aren't always getting what they want, or getting what they need, I want to help them. I live outside of Philadelphia, and personally, it's that I get to spend 6 weeks at the beach with my family every summer. That's like, that's
Awesome.
what's next, is to make sure that I can continue doing that. So it's even though I'm saying all these things about balance, it's still something you have to work at every day. We all get caught up in the everyday of business. So it's, allowing myself to have the permission to say, okay, give it your all these 3 days. And it's okay this one day to go, have some fun with friends. So I have to remind myself of that. So what's next is getting more at peace with doing those things for me.
I love that. That's awesome. Now you're at our brokerage, EXP Realty. You're also in our, community group, Honey Badger Nation.
Yes.
What value have you and your team saw or experienced? Because I'm sure, obviously, it was a decision of kind of probably how can you put yourself in a better position, put your team in a better position. So, what value are you seeing from our community and our brokerage for you and your team?
Yeah. So I was at my previous brokerage for 11 years. If you knew me, then I was like the biggest cheerleader. I love the brokerage. Yeah. I still have some, love for the brokerage, but I kind of felt like I wasn't growing professionally, and end up, learning about EXP, not necessarily by choice. I feel like I was like, no, I'm happy. I'm happy. I don't want to hear about it. And finally I listened, and it was a really emotional change for me, which I didn't expect. I'm not normally a very emotional person. But once I learned about it, I knew it would be really good for my family. But most of all, I realized it'd be really good for my team.
Right.
Because at my previous brokerage, I was starting to get offered different like incentives, and would financially help me and would financially help my family, but there was nothing really for my team necessarily from that brokerage. So my team has, we met and we all decided to make this journey together. And for them, it's been great because they're able to plug in from wherever they are. I'm so much of a people person. I was worried about that like community not being there, but I feel more connected to the people within our group than I felt at my old office that I went to every day. There's just something different. It's, kind of the way that I said that I am with my agents. Other people are now that way to me and to other agents on my team. Hey, how can I help you? What's going on in your world? I heard somebody say, I'm able to learn about issues in my business that I didn't even know existed because other people are sharing stuff that you're like, oh, wow, I need to change that. Otherwise, that's not going to be good for me. So
Right.
it has been a breath of fresh air. And it's just really been exciting. And I recently asked my team, because we're coming up on our 1 year anniversary,
Oh,
what
congrats.
they thank you, of what they've loved. And they said that they have felt, even though a lot of times it's virtual, they have felt more connected and more supported within our group, here at EXP than they ever felt, within the office. So I think
That's
it's
awesome.
pretty amazing.
That's awesome. What do you think is one thing that is your team does or is intentional about that sets you apart in the marketplace?
So a couple things. We took a lot of the stuff, from Nordstrom and the customer service and put it into our real estate business. So for our clients, we do a surprise and delight program that we surprise them at different different milestones of the transaction, with, a little gift that might show up at their house. Just very little touches, but it gets them excited. It knows that we're thinking of them. I think the thing that I'm most proud about that sets us apart is we give back to charity for every single transaction. So, as we grow and we make more money financially, I think it's really important to help other people. So at first, when we started this program, we gave back to charities that I was passionate about, which was great. But now we actually find out from our clients what charities they support. So last year, we were able to support 42 different charities
It's awesome.
within our group. And then we took it a step further, and as a team, we support a different charity each quarter. We financially help raise money for them, and then we go and we actually, as a team, help support that charity, whether it's a food drive, packing boxes, whatever it is. But they're charities that our team members support. So, besides our, white glove service and our, attention to detail, it's giving back to the community because, I think that's really important.
That's awesome. I love that. If you were starting your real estate career today, current economy, current technology, what would you focus on?
Well, if I was starting today, when I started, teams really weren't a thing. So, nobody really joined a team, but I would find somebody that was in my market that I wanted that I, respected and wanted to learn from. And I would try to, join their team or at least find them, to see if they would mentor me. It's hard getting started. It takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of money. Sometimes people are worried about the splits, but 80% of nothing is still nothing. So,
Yeah.
finding somebody that's going to teach you, and then, put yourself out there on social media. I know it's not for everybody, but it's the easiest way, to meet people. Real estate is a numbers game. And the more people that you can meet, the more people you can get in front of, the faster you're going to grow your business. So find the mentor, use social media, and of course, get to some networking events, and meet people. My first manager in real estate, 16 years ago, you probably get in trouble for saying this today, but he said you got to get face to face, cheek to cheek, and belly button to belly button with people. And it's still true. It might be a different way of doing it now with
Right.
social media, but you get in front of them, they know, and trust you. You're going to be able to, build your real estate career from there.
Awesome. I love it. Well, a few rapid fire questions to wrap things up. And some of it you might have already addressed. That was great advice right there. One piece of advice for new agents, brand new agents.
Well, I guess besides that is to find, a group or an organization that has training that you are actually going to go to or plug into. And, it doesn't mean you can't try out some of that stuff before you join. So, if you're thinking about joining an office or a company, plug into some of the stuff beforehand and take the time to interview. I just joined the first office that showed up, on my street, but, see what's out there and, see how comfortable you feel in that world.
Awesome. How about one piece of advice for seasoned agents?
Oh, seasoned agents. I think it would be, don't be afraid to reinvent yourself, right? Like if you still have a passion and something that you want to try out, you don't have to just be okay with where your business has been. It's okay to look into something different and have a change. And sometimes that change can be exactly what you need to be able to grow.
Awesome. I love it. And your big message to real estate professionals. If you were
Oh,
speaking on stage at a big real estate conference, what would
yeah.
your big message be?
I don't know if this is a big message, but my pet peeve is, you are a professional. Like, be a professional, show up dressed like a professional, learn like a professional, improve your skills. Like, this isn't, it doesn't matter how long you've been in business, you always have room for improvement. And like, let's help elevate the industry and be professional.
I love that. I love that because I agree 100%. Well, Nicole, thank you so much. This was great. And I'm sure a lot of people, when they listen to this, will learn a lot. So appreciate you and have a great one.
Oh, thank you. Thanks for the opportunity.
For sure. Great having you.